Hello and welcome to the Farming Today podcast with me, Charlotte Smith. In this episode, surrounded by floodwater for weeks.
So I'm sat in the yard by a silage pit in my telehandler, and to the right of me, the other side of the buildings, there is water, and to the left of me, the same.
And how the never-ending rain is leaving farmers little chance to empty ever-filling slurry stores. First, though, farmers have been told they should use the shock of the inheritance tax changes and the disappearance of old subsidy payments as an opportunity to take a hard look at their farm as a business and be honest with themselves about its future. Speaking to hundreds of farmers at the Norfolk Farming Conference this week, Jeremy Moody, Secretary and Advisor to the Central Association of Agricultural Valuers, told Anna Hill this is a pivot point for farmers.
The government has changed its position. It's telling farmers they are a business. What we would like is government then to give the help that business needs with planning, with taxation, with support for exporters, alternative markets. But it is now the business that takes its business decisions. If you don't receive government subsidies, you are then not beholden to anybody. You have no payments to justify. You are now responsible for your business. Take your decisions and act for the future, and use the prompt given by inheritance tax changes to have the family discussions that we are so good at avoiding.
And then you said that means the management of the farm has to be spot on.
Oh, absolutely. And that is what all the studies show, is if you're a commodity farmer, it's tight control of costs, and I think that's now variable as well as fixed costs, and it is timeliness of operations, it's that quality of management that distinguishes the people who are still performing well.
But some are performing better than others, aren't they?
Oh, the gap in performance between the good and the rest. Any sector, any part of the country, it's large, and people either need to raise the game, or they need to think about how they might actually be better off if somebody else were to farm their land and give them a good rent or a good contract charge or another arrangement that sees the land well looked after and both parties getting value out of the land being well farmed by somebody who can do it well.
Jeremy Moody from the Central Association of Agricultural Valuers. With increasingly unpredictable weather patterns and rising costs of fertilisers and pesticides, could artificial intelligence help arable farmers make their growing season more efficient and more profitable? Well, we've been looking at AI in agriculture all week, and today hear about a study at the Royal Agricultural University in Cirencester. It's investigating the use of AI and drones to identify weeds in a wheat crop so precision treatment can be used to take them out. Marie Lennon met the lead researcher, Emmanuel Zuza.
There are the usual sounds that you would expect from a Cotswolds farm. Every now and then machinery rumbles by, there's birdsong in the hedgerows, but there's also a different sound in this wheat field today. It's the most cliched thing to say, but it does look like you're just playing a video game right now, Emmanuel.
Yeah, I mean, that's what everybody thinks like when they see a drone. I am a senior lecturer in environment and sustainability, and I teach on environment, climate change, and also artificial intelligence.
How do these two things work together?
So the two work together because as we are seeing the impacts of climate change and also the excessive use of chemicals such as herbicides, fertilisers, weeds have become resistant to some of the herbicides. But as we are doing that, we are also polluting the environment, but also increasing greenhouse gases and leading to climate change. Artificial intelligence and spot spraying, rather than spraying the entire field, what we are basically saying is, after the analysis, the drone can only pinpoint and spray the areas where there is possibly significant damage than the entire field where the spraying isn't even needed at all.
It's precision treatment.
Yes.
To reduce cost and to reduce the environmental impact, in theory.
Exactly. So we are looking at a DJI Mini 3 drone. We are taking pictures of wheat crops. We analyze them on a computer to identify whether you have pests, whether you have weeds, AI, there are various algorithms. You can use them to identify weeds, pests, and diseases. But for this specific study, what we were looking at was to see if the artificial intelligence algorithms can be able to distinguish a weed from a crop.
When can you get to the point where this can be used on a farm and used with success to support a farmer in managing their crop and managing their weeds? I mean, are you at that point yet? Can you see that happening?
We are seeing that there are some farmers that are picking up artificial intelligence on their farm. The issue about this is, as I said, it's about data. So we have conducted it here at the Royal Agricultural University farm, but we are currently continuing this to expand to other farms to basically see if what we are saying is actually true.
Well, also joining us out in the field is Will Daw, who is the farm manager here at Manor Farm, which is the university's teaching farm. From your point of view as a farmer, is it helpful?
Yes, I think now that cost and, as Emmanuel was saying, resistance and a lot of other factors are coming into farming, it's something that we all need to start looking into. If we can pinpoint where we need to spray our herbicides or fungicides for disease and weed control, we can sort of lower our chemical inputs by a drastic amount.
This technology and the algorithm is fueled and fed by real information and real knowledge about what's happening in the fields. Will it ever compare to your knowledge of your crops?
It's using both. If you
it's
know,
like a tool rather than the answer.
Using it as a tool is another tool in a farmer's armoury rather than the exact answer to a problem. As agronomists, we always walk into a field and we walk to the bad areas where we know are weeds, whereas a drone will do the whole field and it will tell us exactly where those weeds are, and it's something that we might miss. We might walk into that field and go, it's clean, we don't need to spray it, whereas actually the drone's pinpointed out a bad area that does need to be done. So it's definitely knowing how to use the tool and how to read the tool alongside your knowledge of the farm as well, so it's using both.
Marie Lennon reporting there. The relentless rain is leaving some livestock farmers, especially dairy farmers, with a mucky conundrum. Environmental regulations prevent slurry, liquid muck, being spread on the land during the wettest winter months to reduce the risk of pollution runoff into watercourses. That period is now officially over, but many fields are too wet for slurry spreading. Storage space is finite and the slurry keeps coming. Charles Bentley is a technical director from the consultancy ADES. He also farms in West Wales, growing grass and silage for beef cattle.
The risks of water pollution are much greater spreading in wet conditions during the autumn and the winter, particularly through leaching of nitrates, hence the set closed periods within England and Wales. The start of the spreading season varies depending on soil type, cropping and location. In general, everything is back on from the 1st of February.
So the timing of this bout of wet weather couldn't be worse then, because everyone's got all this slurry stored over the winter from housed animals, but they can't spread it because it's too wet.
Absolutely, and stores are incredibly full.
So what can you and others in the same situation do in the short term?
Hang on as best we can. The weather is slowly starting to warm up. There is a increasing demand for the nitrogen in the manures, particularly in grassland, and the leaching risk is declining by the day, but it's a case of getting it out where it's going to do some good and least damage.
Ideally, how many dry days would you need to be able, for instance, to spread it on grassland where the grass could do with that boost?
That is a huge conundrum and will depend entirely on soil type and drainage and the nature and condition of the turf. Here, if I had 4 dry days, 5 dry days, we would probably be able to travel. If it can go out through an umbilical system rather than by tanker, then the risk of soil damage and slurry travelling down wheel marks is also significantly reduced.
Just explain what an umbilical system is.
An umbilical system effectively is a pump and a long pipeline which supplies a tractor dragging the other end of the hose in the field. The slurry is pumped from the store, down the hose to the spreading tractor and applied there using splash plate or a dribble bar to the land. So instead of having the weight of the maybe 10 tons of slurry and the weight of the tanker as well as the weight of the tractor travelling in the field, you only have the weight of the tractor and the, say, 3/4 of a tonne of spreading applicator on the field end of the umbilical system.
Charles Bentley from ADAS. Well, in Somerset, tens of thousands of acres of low-lying moors and levels remain flooded. For weeks, communities have been coping with impassable roads and watching anxiously to see whether the frantic pumping operation is keeping the water at bay. Some homes have already been flooded. Well, yesterday afternoon, I caught up with James Winslade, who farms near the village of Moorland. The vast majority of his land has been underwater for nearly 3 weeks. He updated me on how close the water's getting to his buildings.
It's all round me. So I'm sat in the yard by a silage pit in my telehandler, and to the right of me, the other side of the buildings, there is water, and to the left of me, the same. So on a little strip of green down through a sea of water.
How close is the water to the village? Because you're near Moorland, aren't you?
Yeah, so we're cut off. There's a metre of water between myself and the village. They've put extra pumps in this week. They've dug around a bridge that was holding water back on the main drain heading towards Northmoor pumping station. So they've dug around that one. They're looking at digging around another bridge just to try and get water to the pumps. One house was flooded at the beginning of the week. Another one is about to flood. And then there's 3 or 4 other houses at immediate risk. So we're just hoping that the agency is nearly getting control again. But fortunately, it hasn't rained today. And we didn't have as much rain on Tuesday at the last yellow weather warning storm that came through.
And this has been going on for weeks now, hasn't it? Which must be a strain for everybody, farmers and everyone who lives there.
Everybody, yeah. It's not like a flash flood, fast-moving water coming in and you're sweeping your houses out the next day. Flood is bad, whatever the flood, but this one's quite cruel in the way that it just creeps up. You can see it coming. There's nothing you can do about it. And you're just sort of hoping that the agency get on top of it, because every drop of water here has to be manually pumped back into the river. So, we're not like a normal floodplain would be, where it'd come in at the top and then go out at the bottom. It takes months for it to go away. This water here now, 3 weeks on Sunday it's been with me. It's going to take a month and a half to 2 months to get rid of.
What will this mean in the medium term for your ability to farm?
Oh, it's going to put a massive strain, as if farming wasn't a massive strain, under a massive strain already. It's going to put a massive strain. We're going to be short of grass. We're going to be short of crops. We're going to have to physically keep the animals in longer to wait for the grass to sort of either we re-drill grass or the older pastures to recover. Grass seed is £100 an acre now, so we'll have to do that, which we'd already put in all our herbal lays and our wildflower mixes for the environment, which that'll all have to be done again. So it's a huge cost.
Farmer James Winslade. And that's it from us. I'm Charlotte Smith. The producer is Sarah Swadling. And Farming Today is a BBC Audio Bristol production.